What to look for when wholesaling real estate. And really guys, there's only 2 things that you have to look for, and we'll be breaking those down right now in this video. In this video, we're gonna be breaking down the 2 things necessary to make any deal in real estate. The first one's gonna be equity. We'll define what that is and break it down. But the second one is crucial. It's gonna be motivation, but you might be asking, well, what does that mean? I'll break that down because there's quite a few ways to realize if someone's willing to sell because of their level of motivation. All right, guys, let's break this down. Let's go to the drawing board. Our first one, right, is equity. Now, what the heck is equity? Let's break it down just super simple. Let's say the home is worth $200,000 and all that's left on the mortgage, meaning all they owe on the home is $100,000. Equity is the difference between the $200,000 and the $100,000. So in this scenario, they would have $100,000 of equity. So just a simple term. Now, why do they need to have equity? It's crucial because you can't really perform on a home that maybe you want to buy it at $100,000, but they owe $150,000. Now, why does that not work? Because unless they're willing to bring to closing $50,000 to close on that home, they're not going to be able to close on the deal. How many sellers out there do you think are willing to bring $50,000 to closing so they can close on their own home and lose 50 grand to close on it? It's just not going to happen. But those scenarios do exist. And depending on the economy, depending on the market, right now, the market is a boom. And so most homes, if not all homes out there, they have equity. And so there's a good chance that when you're talking to people right now in this market, there's a good chance they already have equity. But simple questions just to break down with them is, how much is owed against the mortgage? Or how much is owed against the property? And you might get some fight back on this. You might be able to hear them say like, well, what does that have to do with it? What does that have to do with the deal? Why do you need to know that? And you really have to come back with authority. If you kind of shy around it, it starts to raise a red flag where they're like, is this guy even know what he's doing? Does he really buy homes? And so we always ask that authoritatively. We just say, hey, what's owed against the property? Well, what does that have to do with it? The thing is, we can provide different options. One could be a cash option, but maybe that's not the best solution for you. So when we know what you owe on your property, we might be able to provide different solutions for you. So what's owed against the property? And you go right back in. And most times they will share that. This is crucial. Find that up front. Don't go out on a property on an appointment and then come to find out there's no equity in the home, because now you just wasted your time and now you can't do a deal. All right, let's go back to this drawing board because we're gonna try the second piece to this puzzle, which is crucial. And that is motivation. What is motivation? I think sometimes we get it, we might understand it, but then there's gonna be a few of you like, okay, I get it, motivation, but how do we know and what do we think it is tied to? Is it tied to the home? Is it tied to the seller? And to that I say, yes, it can be tied to both. So let's draw these up. Let's draw your home and let's draw your seller. Motivation can be tied to either one. What does it look like for you now? So let's make it real time. You guys have probably been driving down the street one time and you're in a neighborhood and you're driving to a party, you're driving to your friend's house or driving to family members. And as you're driving, you're like, jeez, what was that? And you look back and this home is like leaning, or the windows are broken, or the roof is like curling because the shingles are so old, or there's cracks in the driveway and weeds growing up through it. The garage is hanging on an angle. Maybe there's fire damage and they haven't repaired it. There's these signs that we've all seen before, or there's that one neighbor in every neighborhood that you're like, oh, fix that up, it's an eyesore. That is a sign of motivation that is attached to the home. So what would it look like now to have motivation that's attached to the seller? Those can just be situations. So I want you to think of just situations that many people go through. And in these times that we live, there's a lot of change going on. There's people that are losing jobs. Is that a change in someone's situation? Absolutely. And it could be a sign of motivation where they're like, we've got to sell our home because we don't have work going on right now. Guys, because of coronavirus, there's been so many changes presented to us, and we're in the business of change. This is not in the business of taking advantage. This is not the business of making a killing or making a ton of money. Really, it's the business of serving people. And I want you to understand that that's my whole philosophy behind it. And so when people ask me, Cody, how are you able to do 10 deals to 15 deals every single month? It's because we have our head on our shoulders to serve these individuals. And our competition, most of them don't. All they can think about is the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, the 2,200 square feet, or how much money am I going to make on this deal? That's just the byproduct of genuinely serving people for us at our company. And that's how every one of our members on my team, they serve with that same integrity and that same mindset. So what do we do? What are other seller motivation, I should say? Some of these other motivations, it could be they're going through divorce. It could be that they are behind on their taxes. It could be that they're behind on their mortgage or in pre-foreclosure. There's a lot of situations going on that can drive motivation to a seller. All right, guys, before I keep going, I want you to hit that subscribe button. I also want you to hit that bell so it alerts you when we put fresh new content up. But let's now get you going into what I call the pro tip. All right, guys, the pro tip for this video. It's crucial to understand what are your best chances of doing deals with individuals that have motivation, meaning they have some situation going on with the home or some situation going on in their life. What are some of those high performers that we're working with that allow us to have great conversations and consistent conversations with individuals with these situations going on? And that is 4 list. I want you to think about this, and I call it PEND. P stands for probate. And those are individuals that maybe inherited a home, maybe someone in their family passed away and now they are the executor of it, or they inherited this home. And maybe at this point they're like, I don't have the time or the means to fix this up and get it back on the market. Or, you know what, I don't want to be involved with this. I have 5 siblings and all we do is just fight over it. And that can be a good one. We love this list. These are things that you can get, by the way, in just your local county on every one of these lists that I'm going to be sharing you with. The E, that stands for eviction. Eviction is a landlord, someone that owns a home that they rent out to tenants. And maybe because a real life story is we had an individual, I called on, I said, hey, I'm looking to buy a home in the area. Is your home for sale? He says, come on out, make me an offer. And I was like, wait a second. I've never had anyone just say it like that. Like, this is too easy. And he says, I'm serious, make me an offer. I just had my tenants, it's a duplex, and I just had one side, they smoked meth in it, and I had the other side, they dumped concrete down the toilets. Whoa! Motivation through the roof, right? Situations that happened to the home. We were able to put together a deal that I was able to get at a deep discount. And the interesting thing, my end buyer was a soccer player that played for Real Salt Lake, and it ended up like, I'm like, man, this is a killer deal, and I've never met a professional athlete before, and here they are buying this home from me. And it's so interesting, and it all became from just motivation. So E is eviction. The N is notice of default. These are people that are maybe one payment behind on their mortgage, and they're just starting to get a notice saying, hey, you've got some time to pay this back, but if you don't pay it by this date, you're gonna have some fees tacked on. So these are like pre-foreclosure, right? Notice of default. The D is divorce. And that's something that usually you'll have couples that no longer wanna be together, and they also have to split up their assets. Home being one of those assets. And so they'll look for individuals that can close quick, buy as is, so they can just split the assets and go their own ways. And so these 4 lists are ones that we're always using. I hope this pro tip is helping you. Hey guys, I hope this video has helped you out. My whole goal behind this is to serve you so that you get as much value as possible to get out there and do deals. And as a gift to you, I want you to click on the link down in the description that's gonna give you free access to my Bad Properties, Big Profits. And it's really just a guide that shows you all these distress situations that we kind of went over, how to really locate them so that you can find these homes that turn into deals in as little as 30 days. Take that download, and I'll see you guys on our next video.